Oh. I've got a clapperboard. Hi. So this is one of the props I'm using, because if you ask some people, my whole life revolves around props. Anyway, a slightly different video today. As I've actually planned what I'm going to say. I say that I'm going to go off this, aren't I? It was effort. So I've written a script and everything, and I say script, it's more like a set of notes that I'm going to refer to as I go along. By notes, I mean incomplete notes at that, because I kind of got distracted partway through. It's not like I'm doing a one-man show of Macbeth. That I probably could. That'd be something people would want to watch, no doubt. Oh, a different location as well. This isn't like a Zoom backdrop. This is my living room. Well, it's a corner of my living room, very much like the last video was a corner of an entirely different room in the house. So today I'm going to waffle about physical media and why I love it as much as I do. Because I have a lot of physical media. Typically I buy it cheap. I think I've said in past videos that a lot of the stuff that I have tends to come from charity shops, which is quite true. Or in the case of vinyl, I pick some up from the independent vinyl shops that sell old albums cheap. Well, not cheap. They sell old albums, let's put it that way. An example would be this Star Wars one that you can see in the background. It's an original pressing of Star Wars, of the Star Wars original soundtrack. We know this because on the front of it doesn't say anywhere A New Hope. So I do love LPs. I love CDs as well. I mean, we spoke about the Top Gun one in the last video I did, and I have the Return of the Jedi remastered soundtrack as well. I have a few of the other Star Wars films as soundtracks on CD. Don't have Star Wars, and I thought I did, which is quite bizarre. But there you go. And my other favourite format for physical media is mini disc. Now I don't have any pre-recorded mini discs. If you have a look on eBay, the majority of the good ones tend to go for ridiculous money. That said, because I've got CDs, I can put the CDs onto mini disc, which is how I've got this. I printed off the label myself using a template I found online, and I just do that for each disc because I haven't got a shortage of old mini discs. I bought a job lot of them a while ago. Entirely different video. I think I may have spoken about that before. Couldn't tell you. Might speak about it again in the future, or for the first time in the future. Who knows? Because I can't remember what I've uploaded. So anyway, so one of the things that I love about mini discs and LPs and CDs for that matter is, yes, I can use, and people have said to me, oh, why did you do that? Oh, why did you buy that for 99 pence? You could listen to it on Spotify for nothing, because it's 99 pence. Now that's quite often the thing with this, when people have said to me like, oh, why did you buy that? Because I wanted to. Oh, but because I wanted to is always the answer. I buy things because I want to. Anyway, back to this. So one of the other things that I love about mini discs in particular is that if I decide to leave the house with my mini disc player, it's probably because I've got bored of listening to the podcast that I use my iPod Touch for. And what I'll do is I'll think to myself, right, I'm going into town today. I'm going to be there for a few hours. I'm going to take some mini discs with me. And I just grab the ones that appeal to me on that day. I listen to them. I don't spend more than maybe 5 minutes, if that, choosing the music I'm going out with that day. Not that I'm criticising people who use Spotify or YouTube Music or Apple Music or Google Music or whatever music store you use. Knock yourself out. It's just that I don't. So I'll think to myself, right, oh yeah, today I want to listen to rock music. And I have a number of individual albums that I've copied onto mini disc, but I also have compilations that I quite like, so I'll pick one of my rock compilations. Or I'll think to myself, oh, I want to listen to Taylor Swift albums, and I'll grab the Taylor Swift albums that I've put onto mini disc and listen to those instead. Sure, I have to get the music onto the mini disc, but it's a single time operation, and I can do it using a website. Well, it is a website. I've got something stuck to me there. It is a website, and called Web Mini Disc Pro, which allows me to plug in my NetMD mini disc recorder, and I need to rip the CD, shove it on there. Yeah, it takes time, but I can do other things on the laptop while the CD is ripping, while it's transferring at, admittedly, USB 1 speeds onto the mini disc, and then there's the time of doing the label. But again, I don't do them every time I do a disc, mainly because there are 9 of these little boxes on the page that I use, so I wait a while. So that does take time, but I'm doing other things, and it's not like I've got a shortage of time on my hands. So I have an iPod Classic, which I was originally going to use specifically to put CDs on it, because if I've ripped them to put them on mini disc, I might as well put them on something else. The iPod Touch, the battery's failing, and also it's a really, really slim device and what have you. The iPod Classic is a bit chunky, don't have it here, and I was going to transfer the music onto that and use that to play to play ripped music in the house, and that worked for a while until I got bored of it. And I'm lazy as well when it comes to things like that. I would look at it, I would forget to charge it, which is the other thing. It's battery powered, and I would forget to charge it. So that was really, despite the fact that I have a little remote for it and everything, and it did everything I needed, there were a number of obstacles to me getting to where I wanted to be with this whole project, which is how I've ended up with this. This here is a Brennan JB7. There you go, that's all you need to know about it. No, honestly, it's not all you need to know about it. So, the Brennan JB7 was designed by a guy called Martin Brennan, who is a Cambridge University physicist back in 2007. I don't know if that's where the 7 came from, but, I could go find out, I'm not going to. And he wanted a better way to organise his CDs, and this was it. There are newer versions of this, and the B2 introduced Bluetooth, and I think it was Raspberry Pi based. I think the B3 is definitely Raspberry Pi based, and it could do. It had internet access, so you could listen to online services like internet radio, that type of thing. It had a phone or it had a mobile based app for control instead of just one of these little remote. And you could connect it to the Sonos sound system as well if you were fancy. But despite how old this is now, given that it was released in 2007, the JB7 continues to be really, really popular. If you have a look on eBay for them, they still go for a decent price. There are upgrade services for it, there are repair services for it. So yeah, it's there's a market out there for them, which is how I've ended up with one. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to show it. We're going to show what it does. So I've got my CD. Ta-da! This is an older CD, obviously. It's the Top Gun soundtrack. Been through that before. Check out my last video. I would do one of those things where the presenter goes, check out my last video up here. But I don't know how to. And I don't want to know how to. Because what I'll do is I'll just put 4 videos, one in each corner of the screen, so and not have me on the screen, which would be a bad thing. So anyway, at the moment, it's almost 3 PM, I can tell you that much. At the moment, this is in sleep mode. So if I press the button, it'll tell me it's starting, and it'll tell me, it'll go to the disk stats because that's the last function I used. I wanted to look at the hard drive size. It's a 500 gigabyte hard drive. For some reason in my mind I expected it to be 160, which is I think the smallest hard drive that they do. I've seen people put, because I did a bit of research on this before buying one, and I've seen people put like terabyte, 2 terabyte drives in there. So there's plenty of options for the future, should I ever want to. At the moment I don't, because I've only just got it. So, let's go back. So it tells me that there's nothing on the hard drive at the moment. There was when it arrived, I erased it. Not because I didn't want the music, but because I wanted to start from scratch. So if we put this in here, slot loading, look at that. Takes a while to spin up, but it will in a moment tell me that there's a CD in the drive. So what we've got here basically is it's telling me that it wants to load a CD to the hard drive. So we're just going to press the button and it tells me what the album is. Now occasionally you'll get the CD database. Oh, there we go. Occasionally you get the CD database and it'll be very, very confused about the album. I'll explain one of those later. So here we go. And it's going to load the CD. As you can see, it's got 10 tracks and it's whipping through it now. In a moment, it's going to finish very shortly. It's quite quick. You know, it's not instant. It's not streaming. I can't play discs back, I don't think, as the same time as they're ripping. You can on later models. But there we go. It's almost finished. This is an odd angle to be filming at, really, isn't it? Loading done. There you go. Play. And here we go. It's telling me the album here, and it should tell me the track. There you go. So there we go. It took about a minute a track, and depending on how that worked, I've either shown you it copying a couple of tracks and the percentage went up and then it ejected the disc, or I've forgotten to insert that footage. Anyway, and you may have heard one of the tracks there, or I've muted it for copyright reasons. So it's dead easy with an old album because most CDs are in the CD database. I don't know how they get there. Magic. Let's try it with a newer album that I just so happen to have here. So this album is the latest album by my favourite death metal band. So let's just put the disc in and see what happens here. Also, the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I've got quite a small amount of space to work in. I'd show you further down, except you don't want to see that. That's for my OnlyFans. Here we go. I've got jeans on. I'm not naked from the waist down. I have got jeans on. I've not just put on a hooded bloody cardigan like all the cool kids wear in order to do this video, but I'm naked from the waist down. Not naked from the waist down. So here we go. It's saying loading CD to hard disk drive. I'm going to press the button. Album lookup. It just says album 1. And it's going to give me none of the... I can edit the album name if I wanted to put my own thing in there, but I don't want to. I'm going to stop that. So what you can do is you can download... If you've got a new CD, which isn't going to often be a problem for me in all honesty, you can download an update from the Brennan website and run the update through the machine. Like I say, because it's rare, I'm going to use new CDs anyway. I mean, the Barbie one is probably... The Barbie and the Top Gun Maverick one are the most recent CDs I've got, I think. And they were bought for me as gifts. I like the... I mean, it's not going to live on the top of the record player either, to be honest. It's going to go further down in the hi-fi system. I just wanted to make sure it works and to show it off. But the plan basically is that every so often, not every day, not every time I want to listen to a disc, every so often I'll just stick random CDs on it. I mean, you can just see them here. I've got a number of these compilation discs. I've got things like, you know, things like 100 hits, 80s chartbusters. I love compilation CDs, especially 80s and 90s. Don't go much earlier than that. I've got some noughties ones as well. I do have Teenage Kicks from 77 to 81. Yeah, that's quite cool. Some more stuff above that, but I won't show those off. So yeah, that's basically it. I might open it up and take a look inside because I'm interested to see what model of hard drive it is. I don't intend to upgrade it. I could do, in all honesty, because I bought a for another device that I've got, I bought a 2 terabyte drive for like just under 30 quid, which I've stuck in this the machine, and it's just basically going to be used as a video streamer. So there is the possibility that I might do that at some point in the future. Something else you can do as well that you probably won't be able to see on this is if I go into the USB settings, I can back up music to USB. Obviously you need a suitably sized memory stick, but it's an option for the future should I want to do it, and it's probably the type of thing where I'll think to myself early on, actually yeah, let's do it now before I start cramming loads of music on it. There are other options as well in here. Let's just have a look. Actually, let's just have a look in settings, because I just want to have a look at some of the detail on this. Set time, set alarm, compression. 3 levels of compression. We've got 4 levels of compression. I've got it set to normal, which is 192 kbit per second. Most compressed is 128 kbit, which, you know, is fine. That's perfectly listenable. No compression, it just rips it, I assume, to WAV or another lossless format. High quality is 320k second, which is fine. Oh, version. And 29.11.11. So 2011 would have been the last firmware for this, 29th of November 2011. I might have a look to see if there was a firmware update since then. But the firmware in the CD database is separate to each other. If there is a firmware update, I'll see what it does and see if it's worth installing. Probably won't be, because this is playing as I want it to. I really am happy with it. This just came as the bare unit, plus the remote and the power supply. If you bought it brand new, it came with a couple of speakers, which are just, just hook up using standard speaker wire. This is hooked up using the line out, I think it is, but there's also a headphone out on there as well, and there's the ability to put an auxiliary device into it as well and play through that should you want to. But I can see a use for it in something like, say, a pub or a coffee shop where you don't want to leave your own phone hooked up to the speaker system, or like another device hooked up to the speaker system. Yeah, so that's it really. I just wanted to talk a bit about physical media and show this off. I'm going to move it to a slightly better location now, further down this tempered glass hi-fi stand. Is it going to replace my regular CD player? Probably not. I like choosing a CD and put it into the player, but then I also like the idea of just hitting the play button on that and it just playing whatever's on there already. I'll see how I get on with it. There might be a follow-up video to this, there might not. Probably not going to do another video from this corner of the room because I'm sitting on some type of little beanbag and my back hurts. Anyway, that's it then. I'll see you all later. And to close off the video, I'm going to use this again next time. Alright, on the front of it I did write what the video title was. It's the clipboard again. We're back. It's a couple of days later. I'm in a hooded onesie thing that men wear when it's cold. That's what I'm doing in a more familiar setting. Look, all this stuff. Right, okay, so the Brennan JB7. This is an addendum to all of the stuff that I spoke about before because I have learned more things. Thing number 1, what I have learned. When you rip the CD onto the machine, it doesn't compress it directly into MP3. I don't know what it compresses it into. I could Google it, but I'm not going to. After I'd ripped a few CDs, I noticed that the machine went into compressor mode, and it was working through each of the tracks. I think what it does is after you rip the CD, when the machine is idle, it does a bit of housekeeping and compresses the files. All of that is going incredibly well. Something I have noticed is that some of the CDs that I've got a number of multi-discs, disc CD compilations, and sometimes you'll put a CD in and you'll have to scroll through a number of options for the CD name, until you find the right one. But it's not that big a deal unless it can't find the disc that I'm referring to, which is a bit of a nuisance. I did update the CDDB to the December 2023 file from USB. It took about 20 minutes to complete. It was quite a large file, to be honest. I think I had a 2 gig memory stick. Memory stick that small, and it was like 1.5 gig of data, I believe. So basically it's the whole of the database, I would imagine, because it is just text. It's not, as far as I'm aware, it's just text. It's not text and images as well, because it doesn't support cover art. So I've ripped a whole bunch of CDs so far. I might put in some footage showing when it switches over to compression, if I remember, depending on when I edit this and whether or not I can be bothered to put another CD into it to rip it. I've ripped a whole bunch of CDs so far and I'm really happy with it. It's behaving itself as I expected it would. There's nothing unusual in playing it, and even saving to that high quality MP3 format, the 192K. I'm not noticing anything terrible about that as a file format that I never did as MP3. I was always quite happy with MP3. But yeah, so that was my addendum in my hooded onesie. So who knows what I'll talk about next time. But thanks for sticking around to this point, and I'll catch you all again later. Bye then.